My whole universe is in a hot damn state. While I calculate the odds, this study sesh might be a date. I don't know if I'm fit for this. I never touched a clitoris. Her boyfriend scares me, he's quite big. I wonder if she's into trigger. Can't wait till I feel a big bang. Oh boy, how wanna.
Welcome to Season 4, a new beginning for the Big Bang Theory. All the changes add together to make this season feel like a soft reboot. In previous seasons, none of their actions had consequences outside of the Leonard and Penny plots. We've seen each of the main group of guys treat each other terribly just for everything to go back to normal in the next episode. Leonard and Penny's relationship would then become the only thing worth taking away from each episode. This season they attempted to fix these issues by really investing in these relationships. Definitely not the best option, but an improvement nonetheless. We still see plenty of the typical episode format where everyone's just hanging out being normal, then Sheldon comes in and does something that everyone's upset. But these plots are not front and center. Considering how blatant the purpose of adding Bernadette and Amy to the cast felt, I still feel like they were great additions. A lot of my favorite scenes this season were just the girls bouncing off each other. A lot of the plots that remind me of the earlier seasons are just the guys talking about an app or something. But more often than not now, it's intercut with the girls moving the plot forward. They try to do this in different ways. Sometimes they're just talking to each other in Penny's apartment, and sometimes they're giving advice to one of the guys. It feels a bit cheap just how much of the story is on the girls' shoulders, but I'm alright with it because they have some decent on-screen chemistry. Penny is the normal girl who brings everybody together. Bernadette is well-meaning but a bit of a softie and clearly very inexperienced with traditional female friendships, but Amy is way worse with it. Her complete lack of understanding of social situations combined with her over-eagerness to be a part of them really sets the tone of their friendship. Amy will ask the most personal questions, sometimes crossing the line out of genuine curiosity. And this gives characters like Penny and Sheldon the opportunity to grow. This is way more efficient than the cycle we were stuck in with the guys where no one ever learns anything. Bernadette helps too, but it's mainly Amy keeping things moving. They also really help the characters that they're matched with. The Amy-Sheldon pairing works so well for the show. Putting such a stationary character like Sheldon with a force of change like Amy really opens a lot of doors for the show. Where previously Sheldon-based conflict would almost always resolve with calling Sheldon's mom to yell at him, now we have someone that can explain things to Sheldon in a way that he can understand. She's like Sheldon with a learned empathy, and the characterization is spot on. She's a neurobiologist, and it's a pretty key part of her character. Studying brains is how she can understand people. She hasn't developed much personally, but she knows how a monkey in a lab will react to something similar. And that gives her more emotional intelligence than anyone else in the cast. Amy honestly changes everything about the show, since after her introduction, her and Sheldon are presented as the main couple, because Leonard and Penny are together this season. They didn't immediately have them start dating, but they also didn't hide the fact that that's the direction things were going. Amy and Sheldon's first episode of development together, we find out alongside Penny that Sheldon and Amy have been talking constantly for about 6 months, and they are already thinking of co-parenting a child together despite only interacting through text. Penny has to convince them to slow down a bit and interact like people for a minute. If you're going to give a character like Sheldon a romantic partner, this is kind of the way to do it. They still act like themselves while together, so you get to see a very gradual escalation of their relationship as they both learn to handle someone that they really like. At this point, she's the best part of any Sheldon plot. Like any Sheldon story without her just feels a lot more lazy. She just brings the show up a level where traditional time-wasting plots fall to the background. Bernadette is also a good addition, but not so great for Howard. She's basically a carrot on a stick this season for Howard to be less gross. For example, they broke up off-screen because Howard was cheating on her in World of Warcraft, but they got back together immediately after. The reconciliation was so bad too. Bernadette basically says that if Howard was horny, he should have come got her. Saying that she dated him expecting him to be sexually aggressive. Just a whole gross thing. Then they get engaged at the end of the season, which is crazy considering how immature Howard still is. He literally gets his dick stuck in a mechanical arm, goes to the ER for it, and then does it again like the Ali G skit.
This happened to your uncle once.
Well, it happened twice.
So yeah, that whole part of the show hasn't improved at all. Moving on to Leonard and Penny. Leonard is dating a new girl and Penny is jealous. Really exciting. There are some ups and downs with that, like Leonard not being allowed to hang out with Penny for a while, but the relationship mainly just functions to give Penny something to talk to Amy and Bernie about. He's just not interesting outside of relationships because he's not the best straight man for any of his more entertaining friends. So they just keep giving him these terrible plots with new women that really detract from his best qualities. Like it really seems they're trying to portray Leonard as this likable, sincere guy. Like he offers to help people and he tries to apologize if he feels like he's been rude. You could make the argument that he does all these things just to make himself more palatable to women, but that's even worse for his character. There's just so many moments that demean his status as romantic lead, like when he's willing to prostitute himself out for university funding. Leonard is basically irrelevant this season. He's single in the first half and everybody's just pushing him to find somebody. Leonard is just kind of unlikable. That's really all there is to say about him. At least he gives Raj something to do this season because he's dating his sister. So we hear a lot of racist, misogynistic, and emasculating jokes regarding that at least. He's also crushing on some of the girls in the group, so I guess we'll see where that goes. Overall, this season is definitely better, but not by much. It's just more varied in its storytelling, which is good because the original format is quite grating. And I like live-action Tina Belcher. Anyway, subscribe for Season 5.